Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of American Soccer Quick Kicks. I'm your host, David Wright, coming to you on a Sunday night because I want to go ahead and get this out there. We have a big week coming up. We just had coming up on Friday. We're going to have the World Cup draw. And at that draw, we are going to find out what the groups are going to look like. And so the U.S. should find out who will be in their group. And I'm about to go over a little bit of what that process is going to look like on Friday, and what the pots are, and I'll explain what pots are and how they relate to the draw. But it gives you an idea of who some of our possible opponents could be in the group stage. This will define the groups for next year's tournament. Before we get to that, we also have the fixture set for the MLS Cup final. We are down to the championship game, and it is a dream final that I'm excited about. Two well-deserving teams. We have Vancouver traveling to Miami. Vancouver, you've heard me talk about them quite a bit. They've had a fantastic season. They were setting the pace for the league early on. They dropped off of that, did not win the Shield or anything like that. In fact, and I believe came in second in the West. But they've had their best season ever in MLS. And they looked so good in the conference semifinals where they I'm trying to remember. They ended up going down to 9 men against LAFC, and it was such a gutsy performance. And Sebastian Berhalter just won me over completely with the grit and determination he was showing in that game in particular. I'm now fully on board as a Sebastian Berhalter fan. It was, and I feel good for Vancouver. They've had an excellent season, and they have seen themselves all the way to the final and able to handle business in San Diego. San Diego, congratulations to them. Expansion club, first year ever in existence. They win the conference, which earns them a berth in next year's CONCACAF. They hosted the conference final, which is a league semifinal, but they couldn't get it done. They ended up looking like an expansion team on that most crucial of nights, and Vancouver wins easily, and they've punched their ticket for MLS Cup. And on the other side, representing the East and hosting the final, is Inter Miami. They are on fire. They won their semifinal in incredible fashion, looking like against Cincinnati. They had to go to Cincinnati. All right, they had to travel. Miami finished I think it was third in the conference. They had to go on the road and play in Cincinnati, a team that has been a cup favorite for most of the year, and they destroyed them. And so what's happened is, and this is the big story with Miami, is they've set down Luis Suarez. Suarez, is getting up there in age, late 30s, has lost a step. He's not the goal scorer he used to be, but he has been still very effective in the attack and helping create chances and providing assists. He's been an asset, but they were forced to sit him for one game because of a red card suspension. They chose to sit him for Cincinnati, and they chose to sit him again in the conference final, which was against New York City last night. And what's happened is that's unlocked Miami, because what they were missing was some defensive balance. Suarez was somebody who's not going to give you anything on defense, and they already have Messi, who's not going to give you anything on defense. And so they were just too exposed, and they were shipping too many goals. And sitting down Suarez has seemed to level them up. So that was a fantastic, gutsy call by a first-year coach, and it was exactly the right move. And Miami has scored. I think they outscored their opponents 18-1 in the last 3 matches, or something like that. Is crazy. They are just a beast. They're looking unstoppable. This may be the best Miami has ever looked. But with New York not doing them a favor by going to Philadelphia and knocking off the Supporters Shield winner there, it allows Miami to now host the MLS Cup final. So we are going to get the final in Miami. Now, what this means, and this is a dream final for the league, because Vancouver added Bayern Munich and Germany legend Thomas Muller to their roster during the summer transfer window. And so we're going to get Muller versus Messi in the league final. This has got an extreme amount of pedigree. Muller and Messi have faced each other 10 times previously, including the World Cup final in 2014 when Germany beat Argentina for the title, for the championship. They also met in, I believe it was the quarterfinals of the 2010 World Cup. Germany won that. They met in a couple of other friendlies in international play. Argentina took both of those friendlies. They've also met in UEFA Champions League 3 different times. I believe it's 2013, 2015, and 2020. And each one of those fixtures was a 2-legged match. Okay, so when I named those 3 years, that represents 6 matches. And Bayern Munich won 5 of those. So the only time that Messi has ever faced Muller and beaten him in club play was in the 2015 semifinal for Champions League. It was Barcelona versus Bayern Munich. And Barcelona won the first leg. And that is the only time Messi's ever beaten him in club play, because Bayern won the second leg, but Barcelona went through on aggregate and ended up winning Champions League that year. So they've met in the quarterfinals of Champions League. They've met in the semifinals of Champions League twice. And they have met in the World Cup final and in a World Cup quarterfinal and in a couple of international friendlies. That's 10 matches. And Muller's been on the winning side for 7 of them. 2 of Messi's wins were just international friendlies that didn't mean anything. So the edge historically has definitely gone to Muller in these matchups. They're going to face each other again. But instead of Bayern and Barcelona, it's going to be Vancouver and Miami. We have a couple of absolute European legends. Messi was with Barcelona from 2001 to 2021. No, 2004 to 2021. I think I've got that right. Before he moved to PSG for a couple of years. Muller was with Bayern Munich from 2008 all the way to this year, 2025. Played in the Club World Cup for Bayern here in America, and then left Germany and came to join MLS. This is going to be fantastic. Muller's been just an injection of fun and enthusiasm for Vancouver. Messi is looking better than ever. So when they set Luis Suarez, they put in a 19-year-old Argentinian named Mateo Silvetti. He looks incredible. He's not going to stay in MLS long. Make note of that name and keep an eye out for him. Okay, that's the MLS Cup final. It's going to be played on Saturday, December 6th. It's going to be 2:30 Eastern time. It's actually going to be on Fox. Okay, you can see this on regular cable. It will also be on Apple TV. Now, that is the day of all the college football conference titles, college football conference championship games. So that's a challenge for the league. You know, you're going to lose a lot of eyeballs. I understand. Because of that, I'm actually probably going to only watch the MLS Cup first half live, and then I'm going to switch over and watch the SEC game, and I'll just have to avoid spoilers and watch the second half of MLS Cup later. This is the last time, I want to say, that we're going to have to worry about that. Because they've already announced that next year, even though is the last season of being on this current calendar, it's going to work out where we're going to get an uninterrupted postseason. We're going to have that between the October and November windows, we're actually going to get the entire postseason in next year. So we're not have to worry about that conflict. And then after that, we're going to be on that new fall to spring schedule. So I'm looking forward to all of that. But MLS Cup Saturday, Muller versus Messi, Vancouver versus Miami. Now, let's get to the World Cup draw. What does that mean, and what is it going to look like? See if I can get you right here. All right, so the World Cup draw will be held on Friday, and what will happen with this draw is we will know after it's over what the groups look like. I say that with an asterisk because we have, as you can see over here in the lower right corner, we have 6 open spots. And I'll explain what those are when we get to them. I'm about to go through these, okay? So the way this works is with the 48-team field, we're going to have 12 groups of 4. And what's going to happen is we're going to draw a team from each pot to be in a group. In other words, because the U.S. is a co-host nation, we are automatically put into pot one. You can see Mexico and Canada is here also. And then the rest of pot one is filled out with the top ranked teams according to the FIFA World Rankings. In other words, by being in pot one, we get to avoid all of these huge countries in group play. All right, we don't have to worry about them. So that already kind of gives us an advantage. We're looking at Spain, Argentina. I believe that's, help me out with my flags here. France, England, Brazil, Portugal. I think that's the Netherlands, Belgium, and Germany. Boom, nailed it. All of that is pot one. And so we're not going to be playing. It's impossible for us to play any of those countries in group play. So what will happen is we will draw when it gets to our turn. We will, or when it gets to our group, I think we're in group D, we will draw once from pot two, and it can be any of these countries. I'm looking to see, well, let's see here. Help me out. We got Croatia, Morocco, Colombia, Uruguay. Then we got Switzerland, Japan, Senegal, Iran, South Korea, Ecuador, Austria, Australia. So we could end up drawing any of those teams because none of them are CONCACAF. That is one of the restrictions that's put on the draw format, is that you're not going to have anybody else from your confederation in your group with you. There's an exception to that when it comes to UEFA, because there are more UEFA teams in the tournament than there are groups. I'll talk more about that in just a second. But in terms of CONCACAF, we cannot have another CONCACAF team in our group. You get to pot three, and as you can see here, we have Norway, Panama, Egypt, Algeria, okay, Scotland, Paraguay, Tunisia, Ivory Coast. This is Uzbekistan, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, South Africa. We could get any of those except for Panama. All right. If Panama's going to be taken out of the random draw for that one, or else if we draw them, we'll just draw again. Either way, there's no way Panama ends up in our group. These are who we could end up. Otherwise, this is who we could end up with in our group with us. All right. And you get to pot four. You've got Jordan, Cape Verde, Ghana, Curacao, which is CONCACAF, Haiti, which is CONCACAF, New Zealand. And then you have the four teams that are going to come out of the European playoff that will be held in March. There are still 16 European clubs, European countries that are still alive. They're fighting for these four spots. So the March window is going to consist of 2 matches for every country. And there are 4 groups of 4 still going on in the European qualification. And they're going to play a quick semifinal and final during that window and end up filling these 4 spots. Okay. The one I'm most worried about is the first one, because that has Italy in it. And that's probably the strongest team out of this entire playoff field. And, so even though you think of Italy as a historically strong soccer country, they haven't made the last 2 World Cups. Nonetheless, I would love to not draw Italy into our group. These last 2 spots are for the intercontinental playoff. And there are 2 CONCACAF countries. I can't remember right now who they are. Jamaica is one of them. That are in this mix. There are 6 teams here, and 2 of them are CONCACAF. And so I believe the way it's going to work is we're not even going to they're both, like, even though we're drawing on Friday and we don't know who these teams are yet that are going to win these spots in March. They're not even going to be in the draw for us. Like, we can't even draw these 2 spots no matter what happens with them. So that's what we're looking at. I hope that makes sense. Does that make sense? Somebody talk to me. So we're going to have only 1 country from pot 2, only 1 country from pot 3, only 1 country from pot 4, and no matter what, none of them can come from CONCACAF. That's the simplest way of putting it. Okay. It does get a little bit more complicated. It's not worth getting into. When it comes to UEFA, I said there will be more teams than there are groups. That's true. But what this means, they'll distribute that out as thinly as they can. So every single group will absolutely have at least one European team, and 4 of them will have 2. That's just the way it has to go. That's the way the numbers work. So, the question is, the game that we play now is who do we want in our group? Like, what would be the worst result? What would be the best result? I'm not going to get into that right now, because I got a comment here. I'll put it up in just a second. I don't want to comment on that, because what I'd rather do is I'd rather direct you to my friend Donald Wine. He has the podcast called USA Soccer Cast. He's just gone over all this in his new episode, and he runs down what he thinks would be the best possible scenario for our draw result and the worst case. It's a fantastic episode. I actually don't disagree with anything he said, but I don't want to steal his content. So I would just direct you to USA Soccer Cast. It's about a 20-minute episode. He gives his picks, and I think he's got some really good insight. So I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments if you're watching it live. I am going to go now to let me see what we have here. Who do you have winning MLS Cup? Vancouver. Let me tell you about Vancouver. Vancouver put on an incredibly gutsy performance in their conference semifinal, against LAFC, where they controlled all the first half, dominating completely. Completely different story in the second half. LAFC was controlling things, ended up drawing level in stoppage time. Tristan Blackman, who is the MLS Defender of the Year, is red carded. I think it was a second yellow. He's out. He missed the game last night against San Diego. And during extra time, they lost another one to injury, and they'd already used all their subs. They were down to 9 men, and they just had to gut out. They were just under siege for like 20 minutes, and they just had to just absolutely gut it out. And they showed so much grit, so much spirit. I absolutely love what I saw from them. And they're playing with a great amount of confidence and energy and momentum. And Blackman's going to be back. That said, Miami looks unstoppable now. For most of the season, it seemed as though we were seeing the weakest version of Miami that we've seen since Messi joined the team. And I think that's true. And they struggled, and they and they finished like third, I think, in the table, third or fourth in the table. But what has happened since they've set Suarez and have been playing Silvetti, we've had a better balance. We've seen a better balance between offense and defense and transition. They're scoring 4 or 5 goals a game, literally at least 4 a game in the last 3 each. They look unstoppable. They are not only scoring in buckets, but they're not giving up any. And they're going to be playing at home. I don't think there's any stopping Miami. I think they're going to get it. I think Messi's finally going to be able to get another one over on Thomas Muller. I don't see how we're going to stop it. So that's my pick. I'm picking Miami. I don't know if that's what people want. There may be a backlash against them. Maybe the people's choice is to root for Vancouver. I wouldn't be sad if Vancouver won it, but right now, Miami is just kind of looking unstoppable. That's what I have. I felt like I wanted to say something more about the Muller and Messi matchup, but it's not coming to me right now. But I think it's interesting that we have World Cup champions, right? I mean, Muller has won with Germany, and Messi's now won with Argentina. So no matter what happens in MLS Cup, there is going to be a player who has both a World Cup trophy and an MLS Cup trophy in his trophy case for the first time. Like, that's never happened before. So that's kind of cool. I I'm going to be excited. I wish it wasn't happening at the same time as all the college football games. This was the last year we have to worry about that. Anyway, I'm going to be coming back next week, and we're going to be talking about the results of the World Cup draw, what the U.S. group looks like, what it means for us, and once we know our opponents, we can start. Pochettino can start planning tactically for next year. I mean, we are knocking on the door of the tournament, so it's a very exciting time. Again, MLS Cup is going to be on Fox, and so I hope that you'll find a way to squeeze it in with all that college football. Watch some soccer with me, and I'll talk to you next time.